Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you. When judgment comes for you. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you. 'Cause it's gonna come for you.
Making it for water, easy, see some for Charlie. Little boo for God's got him. And I'm gonna miss everybody out of roll and flow like I ain't looked at a while. Like I'm playing for dust and they play too deep for beats. Little legs I can't to be. Tell me your feature deceased, would it please? Marry me by my grand way. You can't go follow
God bless you, working on a plan to heaven.
Back on Wrestling Network. Welcome back to the CrosUp, your weekly look back at the week that was in professional wrestling. This week I'll be running through the results and happenings from Raw on April the 6th to Collision on April the 11th, as well as TNA's Rebellion pay-per-view that happened just last night. Due to how the schedule worked out with these pay-per-views and stuff, I will actually be covering Dynasty from AEW next weekend, as well as both nights of WrestleMania. So next week's going to be a mega-sode for sure. So I will cover TNA's Rebellion because it did happen on a Saturday, but due to the fact that AEW is obsessed with doing their pay-per-views on Sunday, that unfortunately is going to have to wait till next week. I am going to watch the show. I plan to order it on pay-per-view tonight, so I will watch it, but it is going to unfortunately have to be covered next week along with WrestleMania. So be prepared to listen to me for a long, long time next week. And I will also go ahead and say, due to WrestleMania being 2 nights, due to being on Saturday and Sunday, next week's edition of the CrosUp will likely be dropped on Tuesday. But with all that out of the way, we will start with Raw. CM Punk starts the show out. He sits in the middle of the ring, does his kind of cross-legged thing where, his kind of pipe bomb pose. And we hear some OTC chants. We hear some CM Punk chants. So kind of antagonizing him, but cheering him on at the same time. Punk talks about this being a wrestling town, and he has some history of his own here. They're in Houston. This is Paul Bosch territory and Houston wrestling territory as well. He loves to hear about the old timers, and you can't help but compare yourself to them when you think about your career. Sometimes he dreams and asks what Harley Race would do. The important things happen when we're awake, though, and it's good to be alive on a Monday night in Houston. The thing is, Roman Reigns isn't here tonight. Punk recaps pretty much everything that's happened between him and Roman over the last few weeks and months. Punk gets out on the apron and talks about how Roman Reigns hates him. That's a good thing because he won't trade his authenticity for approval. He's not vying for the approval of losers. Not vying for the approval of losers is what prevents him from being one of them. The fans kind of chant for Roman for a little bit, but Punk says he's the one who is here and not Roman. He also says, I am an old man. And he doesn't care if Roman thinks so or says so. Punk then takes off the jacket he has and stands on the announce table, talks about how this company sent Roman to do Jimmy Fallon. Reigns is there because he's safe and boring, and he's not going to lose it. On the other hand, Punk is someone who could say anything. He can film TV shows and movies and never miss a show, but Reigns uses it as a crutch to be gone. And then Punk gets booed when he shows up. Reigns puffs his chest around in the back like he's The Rock, a Hollywood superstar. And then Punk kind of corrects himself and says, I'm sorry, Rock was a Hollywood superstar. The fans kind of go, oh, at that one. So Punk then talks about how Reigns got a job because his father was a wrestler, and also because he just sucked at football. He calls Reigns a Nepo baby who ate dog food for an old man, talking back to when Vince was in charge and Baron Corbin poured dog food all over Roman Reigns' head. That old man treated Punk like a dog for years, but Punk had FU money and walked away. That's why everyone hates him. They can't control him. You can't blackball him, and he can blow up his own bridge because he knows how to swim. He's not done, though, because Pat, he calls him Pat McAfee, implying his political stance, and thinks he can. He talks about how Pat thinks he can come here and get in CM Punk's business. He told Pat to call that agent of his that shoehorned him into WrestleMania and tell him to lower the ticket prices for WrestleMania so families can attend. McAfee isn't coming here and telling him to put people in seats, lower the ticket prices so everyone in Houston, families included, can come to Las Vegas and see him beat Roman one-on-one in front of them. So pretty good promo by Punk. Just continuing to dig at Roman. But I thought it was another solid promo. I kind of like it when they're both together and can kind of spout off to each other, but obviously Reigns has his commitments that he has to be at. So we then go to showing some I show Speed's issues over the last few weeks. LA Knight actually showed up on one of his streams and kind of threw him into his equipment. Speed is then in the back and runs into Danhausen. He wants him to remove the curse, but Danhausen wants I show Speed's mansion that he lives in, apparently. Adam Pearce then shows up and Danhausen disappears. Pearce suggests that Speed go home before anything gets worse, but the Vision show up and says they have Speed's back and to come to the arena with them for the match that comes up next. Austin Theory then defeats LA Knight via pinfall following some distraction from the outside, allowing Theory to roll up Knight and grab a handful of tights. After the match, Knight is pissed and he has an idea to how to even things up to kind of settle this kind of, rivalry and kind of, all this stuff that's been going on with the Vision and Speed and LA Knight and the Usos. LA Knight with the Usos in the ring suggests a six-man tag for WrestleMania. LA Knight and the Usos versus Theory, Paul, and Speed. Adam Pearson pops up. He says he told Speed to go home, but instead Speed is going to go to WrestleMania because he makes the six-man tag official. We then go to the commentary table. They introduce a video of what Pat did on the past week's SmackDown. Michael Cole kind of getting upset that his buddy has kind of seemingly turned to the dark side and kind of shit on the product that Michael Cole commentates every week. And Cole kind of has to calm himself down before he gets too upset. We're then supposed to have a match between Finn Balor and JD McDonough. It was supposed to happen, but Dominic Mysterio jumps Balor from behind, kind of mocks Balor's little pose that he does. Balor fights back and goes after McDonough, but Mysterio gets his AAA mega title and hits Balor with it. McDonough then brings in a chair, and Mysterio beats Balor down. And then once he has it kind of beat down, he points to the WrestleMania sign. So Balor and Mysterio, it's beneficial, but they are coming to a meeting point at WrestleMania in their big match. We then go to a video of AJ Lee, and then leads to a sit-down interview with Michael Cole, and she says she is nervous about her first WrestleMania in 11 years. But before Michael can ask too many questions, Becky Lynch comes in and interrupts. Lynch calls Cole the worst interviewer and commentator in WWE, so Cole says he doesn't have to deal with this and leaves. Tells AJ good luck in this interaction, obviously. Becky talks about seeing AJ at WrestleMania 31 and getting a fake hug, but then AJ left the next day. AJ tells her to keep underestimating underestimating what AJ can do, and cuts her off when Becky doesn't like this. The reality is Becky is a big star, but she walked through the doors that AJ opened. This company called her for 10 years, and the fans never forgot. When Becky goes home and asks her daughter who her favorite wrestler is, her daughter will say that it's AJ Lee and then says, "See you at WrestleMania." We then have Bayley defeat Lash Legend via pinfall when Lyra pulls Lash's legs on a suplex attempt. Bayley kind of falls on top of Lash, and then Lyra holds the foot in place so Bayley can get the pinfall. So a little bit of cheating from the faces there, but they're kind of proving around Mania season that whatever needs to be done to get the victory. We then recap Gunther attacking Seth Rollins last week. Seth Rollins comes out to cut a promo. Rollins talks about being gone for 6 months, and he's so glad to be back, so he wants to hear the fans sing his song. He's back, and in less than 2 weeks, he faces Gunther at WrestleMania. Rollins isn't sure how we got here, but he didn't think he and Gunther had any issues. The only option is that Gunther must have entered into some kind of agreement with Paul Heyman. Rollins is back and has 2 goals: get the title back and kill the Vision. They've already got some Samoans to deal with, and that won't end well. He also put Brock Lesnar on a silver platter for Obafemi, and yes, Femi is the future. As for Gunther, if he wants to be in the league, in league with Heyman, it has become personal for Seth. Gunther then comes out to try to sleeper Rollins, but Rollins reverses it into one of his own. Gunther slips out, and they continue to brawl, with Rollins kicking him to the floor for suicide dive. Gunther tosses him away, but security quickly breaks things up. That lets Gunther get in a cheap shot before he kind of bails away from any more fighting, obviously. We then go to the back. Gunther runs into Heyman, who says he doesn't know why Gunther did what he did last week. As far as Heyman knows, there's nothing personal between Gunther and Rollins, so Heyman owes Gunther a big thank you. Gunther says it's personal between Rollins and Heyman, so it's personal to Gunther for some different reasons. He shakes Heyman's hand, but pulls him close and says that Heyman owes him more than he knows. So we'll see what that kind of leads to going forward. We then look back at Roxanne Perez saving Liv Morgan from Stephanie Vaquer last week. Vaquer then cuts a promo, says Morgan's hair dye must have gotten to her brain if she thinks middle school insults are going to be enough. Morgan is trying to solve her daddy issues with Dominic Mysterio, who's trying to deal with not being as good as his own father. Vaquer wants to inspire girls, but while Liv says it's on sight, the truth is she'll never see it coming. We then have a 6-man tag. It is kind of a showcase for the ladder match at WrestleMania, but it's 3 participants from that. It's Penta, Dragon Lee, and Javon Evans defeating the Los Americanos, obviously 2.0, and then Bravo and Rayo. Evans hits the OG cutter on Bravo to get the win. Rey Mysterio then pops out and talks about being proud of Penta and for everything he's done and becoming Intercontinental Champion. Rey says the ladder match has the potential to be great, and he's going to be in it too. Penta then shakes Rey's hand and says, "Let's make history together." So kind of a lucha ladder match already, even becomes even more lucha with Rey. So we'll see if he gets hurt yet again in that match, because it seems like every time he comes back, he gets a new injury. But we will go from there. We look back at Cody's promo from SmackDown, kind of shitting on TKO and the whole Pat McAfee inclusion. We then get a video of Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar, just highlighting what we've seen so far through that. Kind of hypes up the main event segment, which is a contract signing between the two. We then get a video from Asuka. She talks about how Io Sky abandoned her and tried to steal Kyrie away from her as well. Asuka was here to pave the way for them and made sacrifices to make everything better. It was all out of love, but she loved Sky too much, seemingly. Then Sky rebelled, and it's time for Asuka to get revenge, including one more lesson in the ring. So this match hasn't been made official for WrestleMania. We have had an injury to Nikki Bella, so I think they're kind of waiting to see how severe and hampering that might be, because I think obviously the Bellas are supposed to be in the tag title match. But they are waiting to see if she can be in the match because I think Asuka versus Io Sky will either be at WrestleMania or possibly the night after based on that injury. So we'll see what happens. We then have Io Sky come out for a match. Her and Rhea Ripley defeat Michin and B-Fab when Io rolls up B-Fab after some chaos happens on the outside of the ring. After the match, the beatdown is on with Michin getting a kendo stick. Rhea Ripley tries to make the save, but gets kicked in the face. Michin and B-Fab then hold her back while Jade grabs the kendo stick and just lays into Io Sky while Ripley has nothing to do but watch her friend get beat down. We then have Finn Balor. He says he taught Dominic Mysterio how to play dirty, but playtime is over. There's another side of him that he thought he had buried forever, but Dom has awakened it. But now it's back. and coming for Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania. So this pretty much implying that he's going to be the Demon at WrestleMania. We then hear from Dominic Mysterio. He's in the clubhouse. He is nervous about what the promo Finn just cut means. The rest of the Judgment Day try to calm him down. Dom then has an idea and leaves with JD McDonough. Liv Morgan then talks to Roxanne Perez and thanks her for helping her last week. She then talks about how she knows that Finn Balor brought Roxanne Perez onto the team. And before they can get too much further, Stephanie McCare jumps Liv from behind and kind of leaves her laying. This attack, I don't think Stephanie did anything wrong, but she jumps her from behind and, Liv and Roxanne just connect heads, and it makes an absolutely sick sound. Liv came away with this with like a big, one of those goose egg like bumps on her head. She and eventually bruised and stuff. But this was a pretty bad little connection that they made. But Roxanne and Liv were both in the concussion protocol after this attack. So we'll see. Hopefully Liv will be okay to go at WrestleMania. I think she will, obviously, but this was kind of a scary little moment for both of them. But I don't think Stephanie meant anything by it. It was just kind of how it happened. But we're kind of sowing the seeds of, Roxanne was brought in by Finn. Obviously, I don't think she had any specific allegiance to him or anything like that, but they're kind of sowing the seeds. We'll see if that's kind of a storyline they go with in the future, but they kind of introduced the idea that she was brought in by Finn here. We then go to our main event segment. Triple H and Adam Pearce are here to oversee the contract signing for Brock and Obafemi. This starts with like 2 or 3 minutes left in the show, so obviously we knew this was going to be a quick kind of segment and fight if it came down to it. Paul Heyman interrupts and handles Lesnar's introductions as only he can, obviously. Femi comes out as well, and Lesnar jumps him on the way into the ring. Femi is right back to ram Lesnar into the post, and they go through the table, with security running in to break it up. Lesnar throws like a desk chair at Femi, and security has a lot of work to do, but is able to keep them apart to end the show. So pretty good fight to end things. They probably should have allowed it a little bit more time to kind of, happen, but they just, they got in, got out, got in and did what they needed to do. But it would have been nice for this to get just a little bit more time than it did. But solid way to end the show. But as far as best match for Raw, I would go with the 6-man tag, the Lucha tag, with the Americanos and the other luchadors as well. So I think that delivered the best of the matches. We're getting close to WrestleMania season, so it's the shows. I feel like I've said this over the last few weeks, but the shows are becoming more promo heavy and kind of segment heavy. So the matches, though some are good, are getting less time and not getting as much time to kind of happen. But that 6-man tag was pretty solid, all things considered. So we will go from there to NXT. Tony D'Angelo, being our new NXT champion, is out to get things going. A lot of the fans have been with him since the beginning, since he's a 2.0 original, obviously. He has gone from a boy to a man around here, and now he is the only Grand Slam champion in NXT history, having been one of the only people that's won the Heritage Cup. So obviously he's won the other 3 big titles. Some of the decisions he has made haven't been the best, but there isn't a man around here who can take the title from him. Joe Hendry comes out, who agrees that D'Angelo was the better man Saturday night. That was just one night, though, but would it have been the same if it was a one-on-one match between the two of them? Ethan Page then comes out to blame Ricky Saints for him not winning, which brings out Ricky, who says the exact same thing about Ethan. D'Angelo is ready to go again, but here's Dark State to go after all 4 of them. We then go to commercial break and come back with the fighting having to be broken up, and Robert Stone makes a 8-man tag for later on in the show. We then have Izzy Dame defeat Sol Ruca via pinfall following Zarya coming in and spearing Sol, allowing Izzy to hit Dame over and get the victory. We then go to the Vanity Project. They come into Robert Stone's office when Blake Monroe comes in as well. The Vanity Project gives her a kind of a custom women's North American championship, so kind of her own with her own designs and stuff on it. And Robert Stone makes a mixed tag later between Shiloh Hill and Tatum Paxley versus Jackson Drake and Blake Monroe for later on tonight. We then have the injured Elio LaFleur. He meets a newcomer, Dorian Van Dukes, and EK Prosper, which is Eli Knight's new name, saying he wants one of them to win the speed title. Dukes is ready to go, but so is EK. He says he's ready to go as well. We then go from there. We get our kind of big man match, our triple threat. Keanu Carver defeats Jasper Troy and Josh Briggs when he hits the jackhammer on Briggs for the win. We then go to Shiloh Hill and Tatum Paxley. They're in the back. They're ready for their mixed tag later tonight. They also talk about raccoons for some reason. Ricky Saints then comes in on this conversation, calls them weird, and they can just kind of ignore that he even came by and said anything. So we then go to the 8-man tag that was kind of announced earlier. Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, Tony D'Angelo, and Joe Hendry defeat Dark State when Ethan hits the Twisted Grin on Saquon Sugars. After the match, Tony D'Angelo kind of takes out Ethan Page because Ethan had tagged himself in and kind of stolen the victory from Tony D. Tony D kind of did everything, and then obviously Ethan kind of jumped in, hit his move, and took the credit for the win. So we then go to Jada Parker. She is sick of people like Kalani Jordan. They got in a fight at the Performance Center and almost got in another in the parking lot, and Jada is ready to take her out once and for all next week. We then have Lexis King. He defeats newcomer Chaz Hall, the former Starboy Charlie, on the independent scene. He's obviously been in GCW a lot. I believe he's part of the ID program for WWE. So he is going by Chaz Hall. Like I said, now I think it's Chaz Starboy Hall or something like that. So cool to see him in here. He performed well. These speed matches are only like 2 or 3 minutes, so you can't get too much out of it, but he pulled out some cool moves. But Lexis King does get the win. He wins with the coronation, and he advances in the speed tournament. So I'm guessing Dorian and EK are going to be the other match on the other side of the bracket, and they will fight Lexis to see who becomes speed champion. We then have Miles Bourne and Tony D'Angelo. They kind of glare at each other in the back, but Robert Stone comes in. D'Angelo says he wants Ethan Page, which Stone kind of agrees to. Keanu Carver then kind of pops up behind Tony, and Tony turns around, and they kind of have a stare down a bit before we kind of cut away from that. We then have Blake Monroe and Jackson Drake. They defeat Shiloh Hill and Tatum Paxley when Monroe hits the glamour shot on Paxley after some distraction from the rest of the Vanity Project. We then have Robert Stone announce that for the next 2 weeks, we will have NXT Revenge. In the first week, Tony D'Angelo will face Ethan Page. And then in week 2, we will get the last woman standing match between Zarya and Sol Ruka. We also get a video after that kind of hyping up Callie Armstrong again, and she will make her first appearance at Revenge as well. And then we get our main event segment. Lola Vice comes out to cut a promo for the first time as the women's NXT champion. She is proud to be the first Cuban-American WWE champion of all time, and thought that she was ready the second she walked into the door. The reality is she got humbled fast, and now she knows that she wasn't ready when she first arrived. And now the reality is that she's undeniable, and she knows what it means to have to earn something. Fatal Influence that comes out. JC Jane tells her to enjoy this time because she is ready to become a 3-time champion. JC says she lost on a technicality and gets annoyed when the fans start booing her. Robert Stone that comes out to make the match next week, but Fatal Influence jumps Lola to kind of end the show from behind. Lola's actually able to fight them off to end the show, so obviously we will see a rematch clause situation with JC and Lola for next week. As far as best match for NXT, I would go with the 8-man tag, the kind of main eventers versus Dark State. It got the most time, kind of allowed them to do the best thing. I did think the speed match was good, but again, those only go, 2 to 3 minutes for the most part. They have a 3-minute time limit, so most of them only go like 2 minutes 50 seconds. But I thought that performed well. But the 8-man got the most time, has some pretty good star power, and I just thought it performed really well. We then have Dynamite. We open with that. Will Ospreay is kind of attacking Jon Moxley in the parking lot to start the show. The rest of the Death Riders come in to kind of cut him off and pull him off of Moxley. Will Ospreay's girlfriend, wife, I don't know if they're married or if they're just dating, but Alex Windsor arrives. She arrives with the rest of the United Empire stable from New Japan, buddies of Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay led the United Empire stable when he was in New Japan, but obviously they have continued without him. The members that show up here are Francesco Akira, Hanare, and the new New Japan Pro Wrestling IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Callum Newman. They show up and kind of even the odds. They continue to battle. They fight into the arena. Callum hits a pretty awesome dive at one point. The Death Riders then run off, and Ospreay says this is him using his head. Ospreay issues a 8-man challenge for later on tonight. They end up calling it Chaos in Canada, but that'll be our main event for Dynamite. But a pretty hot way to open the show, introduces some new characters that maybe a lot of people didn't know or have seen before, but we'll probably end up being big fans of by the end of the night. But we go from there. Don Callis announces that officially Kyle Fletcher is injured, and he's too injured to continue as TNT champion, so the title is vacant. There is going to be a Casino Gauntlet match for the title at Dynasty, but he's not done. People are asking to see Takeshita versus Okada, but he doesn't want to give them what they want. The family will be stronger than ever, and he'll announce some more stuff for Takeshita and Okada throughout the rest of the week. So we'll see what that kind of leads to. But we then have a Don Callis family team of Andrade, Mark Davis, and Konosuke Takeshita. They defeat Jack Perry, Darby Allin, and Bandito when Andrade is able to hit the DM on Jack Perry. After the match, the beatdown is on, and Andrade, with Andrade distracting Darby and kicks him low. Callis even comes in to go after Jack Perry's eyes, but the Young Bucks then come out and run in to make the save. Okada then comes in to save Davis from the TK driver before he goes face-to-face with Takeshita. They slug it out until the family breaks it up, and then the Rascals finally come in and hit some dives out onto the family to kind of officially end the segment. So, kind of crazy way to, get all those characters on the screen at the same time, but pretty solid little segment. We then go to the official doctor of AEW, Dr. Sampson, and he says Kenny Omega has been cleared, and no matter what MJF says, Kenny is good to go, and isn't in any danger of dying or having his career end in the ring by MJF. So kind of poo-pooing what MJF had said before. We then have Willow Nightingale. She defends her TBS championship successfully against Queen Aminata via pinfall, finishing her off with the Babe with the powerbomb. We then go to a video of MJF talking about his entire career throughout AEW, the impact that he's had on the company and wrestling in general. We'll get another video for Kenny Omega later on. It's basically the same thing. Chris Jericho then comes out to cut a promo. He has a clipboard and talks about how he is glad to be back. The clipboard has a new AEW contract sign on it, and he's going to sign it. He says they're in an arena just 100 kilometers from where he wrestled his first career match. Yes, he's glad to be back, but he admits that everything he's done here hasn't been great. There have been times when things haven't gone as they were supposed to, but all he cares about is trying to build AEW, further and further into the future. Jericho is about to sign the contract, but then we get the demand out to interrupt. Ricochet insults all of Canada, though he's here to talk to Jericho. His advice to Jericho is to not sign and not come back. Why would he want to come back after a year, after so much has changed? The reality is Ricochet is the man around here right now, and no one wants Jericho here either. This makes Jericho respond with, "Wow, you really are bald." And Ricochet obviously freaks out. He says he doesn't care what Ricochet thinks and signs the contract anyway. And then Jericho says there's a bonus. He can pick whomever he wants to face at Dynasty. So he'll face Ricochet because he's in here right now. He hasn't done this in about 10 years, but he takes the clipboard back out and reveals that it has his own logo on the back, and that Ricochet being bald means that he has made the list. So he is on the list. So I don't know if this will be a thing that he keeps around. Obviously, that was a pretty big WWE thing, so I feel like WWE may have that trademarked, but we'll see. But he did make the list at least this one time. So we then go to Don Callis. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. He announces that the Young Bucks will face the team of Okada and Takeshita. Both of them are not happy with this announcement. Takeshita says he wants to challenge Okada for the international title, which Callis says is fine, but we're going to do it after Dynasty. He makes them shake hands, but then there was kind of a comparison of them being like Pippen and Jordan, and that Callis had made, and then obviously Okada implies that he's the Jordan of the situation and that Takeshita is Pippen. So obviously arguing over who's the bigger star. Pretty much what that came down to. We then have Tommaso Ciampa defeat Mascara Dorado via pinfall following his running pump knee. This match was for the number one entrant in the TNT Casino Battle Royal. So Tommaso will enter number one when we get to that at Dynasty. The War Dogs are then in the back. They have attacked Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong, and now they are challenging the Trios champions of Jet Speed and Mystico for a Trios titles match at Collision. We then have Tekla cut a promo. She is sick of hearing about Jamie Hayter being a former women's champion. And then she goes to threaten Lexi Nair, who's the interviewer here. She threatens to take Lexi to a strip club, give her a nice dinner, drag her onto the stage, but then break every bone in her body. And then she just kind of throws some general threats at Hayter, saying she's going to beat her and break her, break her down or break her body into pieces and all that kind of stuff. So kind of a chaotic promo by Tekla threatening Lexi for some reason. But yeah, definitely a weird one there. Adam Copeland and Christian Cage then come out. Cope talks about how FDR's jealousy of being in his shadow, and that wasn't his fault that they felt that way. He's not shrinking to their size, and they're not big enough to get into his. Christian Cage then talks about how FTR has ticked off all of Canada, and as everyone's favorite father figure, they have been very naughty. He has visited both of their mothers, and just so there's no confusion, I banged both of them. This pops Cope pretty well. He then goes on and says, "Oh, and Stokely shouldn't feel left out because Christian will be visiting Stokely's mother very, very soon, but as half of the AEW Tag Team Champions." FTR and Stokely then come out to distract Cope and Cage, allowing Roppongi Vice, who Cope and Cage had attacked last week, to sneak in and attack Cope and Cage. FTR then comes in to help beat down the Canadians, and with Stokely even getting a spear on Cope. Cage's arm then gets put in a chair and Pillmanized, and they leave Cope and Cage laying to end this segment. We then have Darby Allin talks about how he really wants to be the world champion, and he's coming for whoever wins the title at Dynasty after he's done with Andrade. So continuing to kind of push the idea that Darby wants to be world champion, and he's going to seriously make a push to do so after a big win at Dynasty. We then have the United Empire versus the Death Riders in the Chaos in Canada match. Will Ospreay, Callum Newman, Francesco Akira, and Hanare defeat the Death Riders of Mox, Claudio, Pac, and Daniel Garcia. Will actually hits the hidden blade on Mox through a table and gets the pin and win off of that. So kind of weird that they're having that match on the pay-per-view and are having him pin Mox right before it, but whatever they want to do. So definitely a weird kind of booking spot there. We then have, like I said earlier, Kenny Omega kind of gets his history in wrestling and his kind of impact on the business video here before our main event segment, where Omega comes out in a suit, kind of not his regular fit, but he comes out in a suit here. He talks about how he used to drive here about 25 years ago because he wanted to be part of this place's independent scene. That brings him to MJF, who thought he was surprising people by bringing up Kenny's diverticulitis. Omega points out that the commentary mentions it every single week, so it wasn't exactly shocking. MJF is best known for talking about everything he can do. Well, everything MJF can do, Omega can do better, and everything MJF can't do is what Omega does every day. He thought the idea here was to have the title on the best wrestler, as in someone who can actually wrestle. These fans deserve a better champion. While he might not be the same Omega he was before, now it's about working harder. At Dynasty, he's taking the title and starting to right all of MJF's wrongs. This brings out MJF, who thinks Omega and the fans are scared. Is this going to be Omega's last match? It will be his last shot because his health isn't holding up, and MJF is ready to show Omega isn't on his level. Omega says this is their last chance to act civilly together and offers one final handshake before Dynasty. MJF then swings instead and gets kneed in the face, with Omega calling him predictable and stealing his Dynamite Diamond ring. Omega then hits the let me bid you adieu, moi, and good night, bang, and drops the Dynamite Diamond ring on MJF to end the show. So kind of toying with him in his jewelry. But as far as best match, I don't think it's any shock here, but the Chaos in Canada match was absolutely incredible. A few new stars that you might not have seen before, as well as, all of the Death Riders and Will Ospreay. Just a really chaotic match, some awesome spots. So I thought it was really well done, and I definitely think those who haven't seen it already should check it out. We'll go from there to Impact. Santino Marella and Daria Ray are in the ring for a contract signing. Daria handles the introductions of Eddie Edwards and Mike Santana. Santino seems pretty annoyed by this. Edwards isn't impressed with Santana and talks about how they've had similar paths around here. They both started as tag team wrestlers who were fighting for every scrap they could find. Both of them wound up becoming two-time TNA World Champions, but that's where their similarities end. Edwards stayed while Santana left when things were going badly. He carried this company on his back while Santana found out that the grass isn't always greener in the inner circle. So a little dig at Santana being in AEW and being in the inner circle. Edwards signs and and we get a Santana chant from the crowd. Santana takes his glasses off so Edwards can look him in the eyes for this. It's true that Edwards stayed while Santana left so he could test himself against the best in the world. Then he came back to prove what he can do around here. 2 years ago, he took a sledgehammer and cracked the foundation, including Eddie Edwards. At Rebellion, Edwards is losing to a man who bet on himself every single night. Santana is doing this for the fans and signs, but Edwards says the fans won't be there to help him at Rebellion. The fight is they kind of tease to some scrapping, but Edwards brings up Santana's family. Santana says that Edwards lost part of his family when his wife ended up teaming with Moose. Cedric Alexander comes in for a brawl, but Leon Slater runs in as well to make the save. The faces clean house, and Slater does a big flip dive over the post to take out Cedric and Edwards to end the segment. We then have AJ Francis cut a promo. He insults the Cleveland Browns on the way to Rebellion in Cleveland, and then he doesn't like Nick Nemeth either, as he's from Cleveland, which is why he took something away from Nick Nemeth. Now it's time to take him out at Rebellion. So we'll see what happens when we get there. Jada Stone then defeats Danny Luna via pinfall following a corkscrew moonsault. After the match, Tasha Steelz then continues the kind of rivalry with Jada Stone and lays her out after the match. We then randomly get Elijah. He's walking through a cemetery talking about how you just walk with Elijah. And then a random boy comes up saying he and his dad were big wrestling fans. And he asked Elijah to come to his dad's grave and pray with him. That's fine with Elijah, but it's a ruse as Frankie Kazarian jumps Elijah from behind. Kazarian gives the kid $20. The kid says it was supposed to be $100. Kazarian says, "Yeah, I lied. Life sucks. Get used to it." He then throws a Bible verse at Elijah's directions about revenge and leaves Elijah laying in the cemetery. We then have Taryn Terrell come out for a promo. She's glad to be in her hometown of New Orleans, but she never got to say goodbye because her career was wrapped up earlier than she wanted. Over the last few weeks, she has seen what the Elegance brand has been saying about various legends, which brings out the brand to interrupt. M by Elegance mocks Taryn, who wants nothing to do with the Elegance brand. We see ODB and Mickey James down in the back, so Taryn is on her own, and the group beats her down. Mr. Elegance then gives her a slam in the nip and tuck to leave her laying to end the segment. So all the legends end up getting laid out by the Elegance brand. We then have Santino Marella. He yells at his daughter, Ariana Grace, and Stax in the back. Stax tells him that there is no one to protect Santino. Santino then punches Stax, who runs into the women's locker room with Ariana Grace. Indy Hartwell pops up to make sure it's clear, and Marella goes in, and they both beat up Stax and Grace. Indy and Santino then both come back out with Indy saying she has retrieved the Cobra from Ariana to get it back to Santino. We then have Frankie Kazarian. He defeats BDE via submission with the crossface chicken wing. After the match, Ryan Nemeth comes in to go after BDE, but the lights go out. Elijah then shows back up and chases Kazarian away from the ring. We then have Elena Black defeat Myla Grace via pinfall following the blackout. We then go back to Daria Ray again. She tells Santino that he is suspended indefinitely for his actions of attacking a superstar earlier. Indy Hartwell then comes in and says that what happened earlier was because of her, and Daria Ray ends up suspending her as well because she had bumped Daria, and Daria didn't like that, even though she barely touched her. So Indy and Santino are both suspended. We then have Ricky Souza. He comes out to cut a promo. He is here to show the world what the young Savage is like, but here comes Eric Young to call him a wannabe. Souza isn't impressed and wants to fight and gets in Eric's face. They end up brawling a little bit, and Eric leaves him laying with a pile driver. So Eric gets the best of Ricky Souza, and it seems like he's going to be his first kind of rivalry to start his TNA career. So not a bad person to kind of pair him with. Eric Young's not the most exciting worker in the world, but he's kind of a good hand to have around, and he is good at making these kind of young cats seemingly shine when they can do some kind of cool, crazy stuff. So we'll see what they can kind of do together. Tessa Blanchard is still in the undead realm with James Mitchell. He tells her to enjoy her stay and then does a lot of his crazy laughing. Mara Sade is with Rosemary in a cave where Rosemary tells her to be on guard. That's fine with Mara, but Allie pops up. Yes, she died, but she's kind of sick of being dead. Rosemary talks to the two of them and says they need to change clothes a bit. They're off to find some new clothes, and we cut to Victoria Crawford looking rather lost in the undead realm. We then cut back to Rosemary, who sees a bunch of ads from Shudder for some horror movies, which was a nice little spot in there. Havoc then kidnaps Mila Moore, and then we cut to James Mitchell singing My Way, which was certainly something as well. Rosemary then praises him, but he thinks she's up to something, like a deep dive into the 7 deadly sins. She needs some help from James Mitchell, though, and they go on a quest to find the monster abyss. And then we get our regular to be continued to this saga. So we'll see a little bit more of this at Rebellion, but some craziness for sure with Rosemary and James Mitchell for sure. We then go to Order 4. They're with Mustafa Ali. He calls out Trey Miguel. Miguel comes out with Ali apologizing for what happened to Jada Stone at Sacrifice. Ali mocks Trey's criminal history and says that he's not a champion because he's too good for TNA. Miguel says Ali isn't a champion because he's a scumbag and a coward. Yes, Trey needed a second chance, but maybe that's why fans accepted him. Ali is just so perfect, but TNA treats him like family. That has Ali laughing because Order 4 is the only family here since there are no more rascals for Trey. Trey mocks Order 4 and says Ali has nothing, including no testicles. Ali is ready to fight one-on-one, but Order 4 jumps Trey in the situation. They beat him down, and Moose comes in to make the save and hits a big spear on Ali to end the segment. And then we get our main event where the Hardys defeat the Righteous in a tables match when Jeff drives Vincent through a table with a swanton. After the match, Dutch drives both Hardys through a table in the corner, and the Righteous stand tall to end the show. So the Righteous won't be facing the Hardys at Rebellion, but they seemingly leave them laying here, implying the rivalry between the two is not done. The main event was the best match for me. It just had a bit of chaos to it that the rest of the card didn't, and just had a little bit more story to it that maybe any of the other matches throughout the show did. But we'll go from there to SmackDown. We open with a recap of Pat McAfee being revealed as Randy Orton's associate in the ensuing beatdown of Cody Rhodes. Later in the night, Rhodes gave an angry response, obviously, to McAfee. We've seen that a couple of times. Rhodes runs into Nick Aldis when he first gets into the arena, and Aldis says McAfee is on his way. Aldis says he's under strict orders for Cody and really no one else to touch McAfee, but he won't say who gave the orders, that they just came from above. Jelly Rollin comes in to say this is about Cody Rhodes' relationship with Randy Orton and nothing else, and wants him to understand that that's the case and not worry about Pat McAfee. We then have Rhea Ripley. She comes out to cut a promo. She congratulates Jade for finding her one weakness, which is them taking out Io on Raw. Ripley then says, I want Jade out here right now, but gets Io Sky instead. Io is angry at Jade as well and knows that Rhea will get her at WrestleMania, but Io wants Jade tonight. Nick Aldis then comes in to make the match tonight's main event. We then have Alexa Bliss defeat Bayley via pinfall with a roll-up after some distraction from Charlotte. She kind of throws her jacket at Bayley, and that distracts her enough for Alexa to get the win. We then look back at Sami Zayn retaining the U.S. title last week, taking advantage of Carmelo's knee injury. We then get Trick Williams calling him Ginger Snap, and kind of the whatever ensued after that. Matt Cardona then we show him going into the trainer's room. He's checking on Carmelo, kind of gives him a pep talk. But Trick comes in with a little Yachty, comes in to say that Hayes can watch him win the U.S. title at WrestleMania. Carmelo says he's coming for the title after WrestleMania, but Cardona wants a match with Trick tonight for insulting his friend. We then have Drew McIntyre. He talks about how Jacob Fatu's family is probably in the arena tonight, being from the area, but reveals that Fatu is sitting in a prison cell, which is what Fatu will always be about. This is where Fatu always belongs, and after WrestleMania, he'll screw up and wind up right back here. At WrestleMania, McIntyre will be judge, jury, and executioner. Fatu, we then show Fatu in the back. He's not happy. Drew was in this prison cell, by the way. I may have misspoke on that last, but he was in a prison cell kind of taunting Fatu. Fatu sees this, isn't happy, but Solo Sikoa and the MFTs come up to kind of make fun of him, including pointing out the fact that last time we were in this arena, Jacob Fatu ended up laid out, losing some of his teeth and bleeding from the mouth. Fatu seems pretty pissed that they are kind of in his way, and we seemingly set up a match between Jacob and Tama for later tonight. We then have get to learn a little bit about Royce Keys. He grew up around this area there in San Jose. I haven't said that yet, but he grew up around the San Jose area. He saw all the violence and the drugs during his childhood. He and his friends used to have Royal Rumbles where they would toss each other over each other's fences to eliminate each other. He says things have changed for him now, and he refuses to be defined by where he's from. he wants to be better than how he grew up. So we'll see more from Keys. Next, he defeats Berto in his first match. He wins via pinfall. He hits a power slam and a spine buster to finish things off. We then have Pat McAfee arrive and confirms with Nick Aldis that no one from WWE is allowed to touch him. McAfee gives him a thank you with a really bad British accent. He does kind of an impression. He runs into Jelly Roll. He wants to know what McAfee was thinking with everything, and kind of pins him up against the wall. Aldis kind of tries to tell him that this can't be done, but Jelly Roll points out that he doesn't work here and he doesn't care. McAfee wants Jelly Roll out of here, and he says he is off to save the WWE. We then get an interview with Royce Keys again. He is glad to be here in front of his hometown. Solo Sikoa comes in to say long time no see. Apparently they knew each other growing up. Solo says he runs things around here and says if Royce needs anything, let him know. We kind of get a nod from Royce. He kind of nods to him, but he doesn't end up saying anything before we cut away. We then have Pat McAfee come to the ring to cut a promo. He insults San Jose. He mocks the fans, goes on to CM Punk, mocks him for having a WWE jacket and a WWE Punk shirt on Raw. He says Punk has 283 things to sell right now, but where does that money go? To the fans who can't afford WrestleMania tickets or to the I'm Sorry Saudi Arabia Fund? The difference is that McAfee gets things done, which brings him to WrestleMania ticket prices. He called Ram Trucks, who obviously is a sponsor of WB and a sponsor of his to a point. He says he got them to pick up 25% of the bill of a Saturday night WrestleMania ticket from now until the end of Raw on Monday. He said, and then he talks about Sunday. He says he doesn't care about Sunday because Randy Orton isn't on the show. He's on Saturday. This city has never won a Stanley Cup, but this city will see Randy Orton win the title at WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes then comes out with McAfee mocking his theme song. Cody then says he knows that he can't touch him, but McAfee can go to the back and get a nice replica title and pretend to face anyone he wants. Then he can go back to whoever sent him here and say, thank you, Daddy. There's a term in wrestling called play wrestler, and he never got it until he saw McAfee talking about the Attitude Era. That was 30 years ago, and Orton watched it in high school, so Orton wasn't even involved in the time period that McAfee's fighting for. Rhodes brings up Paul Bosch, like Punk did on Monday, who didn't like the term marks, which McAfee was using on his show this week. Bosch called them customers, and when you have everything because of those people, whether it's the collector at the airport with 70 pops or that kid in the front row with the cool jacket, they become family. McAfee has one talent, though. He has made fans actually agree that they want to see Orton at WrestleMania, but not McAfee. So go home, Pat. Rhodes goes to leave, but McAfee says he's here because he was born for the business, while Cody was born into the business. He sees a fake man in Cody, and if Orton doesn't win the title at WrestleMania, Pat will be out of this business forever. The fans continue to chant, go home, Pat. Cody brings up McAfee, saying he's tired, so let's get Gunther out here to put him to sleep for good. Cody leaves, and McAfee calls him an elite runaway artist and even mentions him by calling him Stardust. He suggests that Cody is going to go suck up to Triple H, which brings Cody back, tosses off his jacket. We see Randy Orton pop up on the screen. He is attacked and laid out Jelly Roll. Orton then drags Jelly Roll to the arena, and a McAfee distraction lets Orton get a cheap shot in on Cody. Jelly Roll gets up and grabs McAfee by the throat, with Orton making the save. A hanging DDT on Cody, and then a belt shot as well. McAfee grabs the title, throws it over his shoulder, and then we come back from commercial break after that, and McAfee and Orton are leaving in his truck once again with the title over McAfee's shoulder. We then look back after all of this at the promo that Punk cut on Raw. We then go to Miz and Kit Wilson. They tell Nick Aldis that he needs to do something about the referee from last week. Aldis mentioned that he was cursed. Miz says, "Not you too." Aldis says fixing the curse is beyond him, but he can put Wilson in the ring with Danhausen later tonight. Aldis then says, "Unless Kit is afraid of the curse." And then Miz screams, "There is no curse," to end the segment. We then have Jacob Fatu. He defeats Tama Tonga via pinfall following a triple jump moonsault. After the match, Fatu grabs the mic, but Drew McIntyre runs in for a brawl. A chair to the back and a future shock on the floor knocks Fatu a little bit loopy. So McIntyre handcuffs him around the post. McIntyre then asks him how it feels to be back in chains where he belongs. Fatu tries to fight back, but gets knocked out cold with McIntyre throwing him back inside and hits another Claymore and then whips him with his belt. We then go to R-Truth. He is explaining the ESPN app to Danhausen. Danhausen seems to understand. Damian Priest then comes up to say R-Truth thought that last week Danhausen was Asuka, but R-Truth says Priest thinks Danhausen is Asuka. Actually, Priest seems just completely thrown off by the entire situation. We then cut to Rhea Ripley taking out B-Fab. Rhea Ripley says, "One down, one to go." And then R-Truth says, "I don't think Rhea wants her in the Judgment Day." And then Priest pops up with, "Oh, yeah, and I'm the crazy one." And then the segment kind of ends from there. We then have Sami Zayn come out to cut a promo. He kind of gets a mixed reaction. He gets, I would say, mostly boos, maybe some cheers along the way. He acknowledges this reaction and how it kind of makes him a little bit angry. He says people have been telling him that he needs to change, and maybe that is what the fans want. He has always tried to be something more than a catchphrase, and he does this for the fans. There's no way he will ever change for the fans who love him. Now, as far as the fans booing him, what did he do? As soon as he knew he had fans who were with him no matter what, the pressure was off. Trick Williams, a little yachty, to come out with Trick thinking that the fans are sick of hearing Sami Zayn talk. The reality is that Sami hates Trick and his sauce because Trick is the anointed one. Everyone loves him, but Zayn thinks it's just a crush. Sami tells Trick to understand what he's up against at WrestleMania, but Little Yachty thinks Sami Zayn should be worried. And then Matt Cardona comes out to end the segment to kind of set up his match with Trick. Trick then defeats Matt Cardona via pinfall, following some chaos around the ringside area with Sami and Lil Yachty. But Trick ends up hitting the trick shot and defeating Matt Cardona from there. We get video again of Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar, kind of what happened on Monday, as well as all that's happened up to this point. We then get Danhausen defeating Kit Wilson via pinfall. He kind of hits a pump kick to the head after a pyro malfunction. In the corner, he had kind of pointed at he had done the curse point at the ring post, and there was like an explosion behind Kit that kind of knocked him down. After the match, The Miz tries to hit the skull crushing finale on Danhausen, but the lights go out, and Danhausen is able to escape. We then get Michin. She has been attacked as well, obviously laid out by Rhea, and Jade Cargill is ready to get some revenge for her girls later. We then have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal announced for next week's SmackDown, as well as an 8-man street fight between the Wyatt Six and the MFTs. Those are both going to happen on SmackDown next week. We can pray and hope to God that that is the end of the MFT Wyatt family, Wyatt Six situation. Hopefully that's the end all be all of that. One can only pray hard enough. We then get Rhea Ripley. She tells Io Sky about her previous work throughout the night, taking out Jade's associates. Io then says she's appreciative of that, but she asks that Rhea stay in the back and let her handle the match on her own. That's fine with Rhea, but she wants Io to save some of Jade for her at WrestleMania. Jade is then able to defeat Io Sky via pinfall following Jaded. After the match, Jade grabs a chair. It seems to be going towards Io with it. Rhea then comes in to make the save. Cargill kind of escapes, ends up sitting down in the chair outside of the ring to stare at Rhea for a second. to end the show as Rhea's kind of checking on Io. That was the best match. Not much good wrestling on this episode of SmackDown. Again, getting real close to Mania season. The McAfee segment took up a lot of the show. And the other matches were kind of just squash matches or matches that kind of ended in cheap distractions and stuff like that. So they let Jade and Io cook for a little bit. And I thought it was a solid match. But again, we're getting towards Mania season, and it's becoming more promo and kind of segment heavy. So the wrestling kind of takes a, not a backseat, kind of a side seat to it all. So, but we will go from there to Collision. The War Dogs open the episode of Collision, defeating Mystico and Jet Speed when Finley and Connors hit the full clip, and the War Dogs are your new trios champions. After the match, Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong pop up on the video board and challenge the new champions to a match, suggesting that they have a third guy that will join them when this match eventually happens. We then have Will Ospreay. He introduces each member of the United Empire. He talks about how Hanare is a badass. He talks about Akira being one of the best junior heavyweight tag team wrestlers in history in Japan. And then he talks about how Callum Newman is the new IWGP heavyweight champion, and he is the youngest champion in history. He talks about how much potential and how great of a star he already is at the young age that he's at. So just really hypes up all of his buddies. He says, though they are here tonight, they will not be at Dynasty for their match, because obviously the Continental title has the rules where no one can be involved in the match, or I guess I don't really know. We haven't gotten that at this point, so I don't know if the person like automatically loses or he's stripped, or if it goes to the other person, or blah blah blah. I'm not sure exactly what happens in that situation, but he does fully say that they will not be in his corner at Dynasty. We then have Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida defeat Ava Lawless and Gigi Ray when Stat hits the Saturday Night Fever on Ray for the win. After the match, Shida is not quite happy that Statlander had kind of tagged herself in and then never tagged Shida back. Moxley then cuts a promo saying no one can hang with the Death Riders, and if Will Ospreay is so determined to break his neck again, then so be it. He'll make it happen. We then get Roosh defeating Anthony Bowens via pinfall following the horns. Roosh is the number 2 entrant in the Casino Gauntlet with this victory. We then get the Brawling Birds. They're ready to for their singles matches at Dynasty. Windsor is going to be facing Marina Shafir, and Jamie Hayter is obviously going for the women's world title against Tekla. So they're ready to get revenge and win the title. We then have the Hurt Syndicate having their first match back. They squash Andy Anderson and Mo Jabari when Shelton finishes Anderson off with the super kick. Mina Shirikawa and Harley Cameron are both sad that their partners are gone, and they seem to kind of imply that maybe they'll be a team in the future, but they opt to drink tonight instead of fight. So pretty good little segment there with Harley and Mina. We then get the Young Bucks. They defeat the Don Callis family, this time represented by Hechicero and El Clone, when they hit the TK driver on Clone for the win. We then look back at Chris Jericho and Ricochet's meeting on Dynamite to set up their match at Dynasty. We then have Okada defend his international title. I think the title was on the line. He successfully defends it against Myron Reed of the Rascals. He wins the match via pinfall, following a tombstone and then the Rainmaker. We then have Willow Nightingale. She wants some new blood kind of coming after her TBS championship. She didn't want to face the same olds over and over again. She wants some new blood to kind of come after her. We then get Lena Cross and Megan Bain. They say they are ready for Hyann and Maya World for their pre-show match against them for the tag team titles. Somehow Hyann and Maya World have gotten a tag team title shot despite, I'm pretty sure, never winning on TV. I'm not sure how that quite happened, but it is on the pre-show, so I won't piss and moan too much about it. And then we get our main event where the Brawling Birds of Alex Windsor and Jamie Hayter defeat Tekla and Marina Shafir when they hit a sloppy as hell 2 birds, 1 stone on Shafir to get the win. It was very clunky and brutal looking. Collision is usually really good. I would say really good wrestling segments. The promos and interviews and stuff like that aren't always just out of the park and stuff like that. But this was a really kind of it seemed like a pretty lazily thrown together show. I thought the opener was pretty good, but the rest of the show matches on the shows were either squash matches or just something that kind of seemed off throughout the night. So I wasn't as big a fan of this episode of Collision as usual. But the Bucks versus the Don Callis family would be my match of the night. I thought the opener was fine, and Okada versus Reed was fine as well. But as far as best match, I would go with the Bucks and Don Callis family. But there's usually a pretty blow away match of the night on these shows because the wrestling is usually pretty solid. But this one was a little tougher than usual. But we'll go from there to Rebellion that wrap up the week. Like I said, again, I'll cover Dynasty and WrestleMania's night on end 2 next week. So we'll finish here this week with Rebellion. Leon Slater defeats Cedric Alexander via pinfall following a Styles Clash on the X Division title, and then follows it with a Swanton 450. We then get Gia Miller. She is in the back with Mike Santana. Gia wants to know how Mike is approaching this match with after Eddie Edwards has pinned him twice in the last month. Santana wants to know what's good in the 305. For 86 days, he has fought. He has put his heart and soul into this title reign, and he is set and ready to go. Alicia Edwards then pops up and says she has information about Eddie that he should know. So she wants to talk to Santana on the side. We then have Frankie Kazarian defeat Elijah via pinfall when he kicks Elijah low while the ref is distracted picking up the guitar pieces that had been shattered previously. And then after he kicks him low, he rolls him up for the win. We then go to the back. Stax and Ariana Grace are walking. Stax says Rebellion will be a big night for Ariana, but she is freaking out because she doesn't have the Cobra anymore. Stax says she doesn't need her father's stinky hand-me-downs, and he has a plan. He whispers it to her, and she seems thrilled by the thought of this plan, whatever it is. We then get Special Agent Zero. He defeats Moose via pinfall after some chaos that happened around the ring, allowing him to hit a choke bomb for the win. We then get the Personal Concierge. He's in the ring with a sign with a pickle on it and says he is not a pickle dick. When he's heard that they were coming to Cleveland, he got on his knees and begged TNA to not come to this place because it sucks. The only good thing to come from Cleveland is Ash by Elegance, and LeBron knew where to take his talents, and that is out of here as quickly as possible. These people smell like pigs, so it's time to introduce us to some people who smell like flowers, and that is the Elegance brand. We then have a 6-woman hardcore country match where the Elegance brand actually defeats ODB, Mickey James, and Taryn Terrell when Ash is able to spray some like hairspray in ODB's eyes, and then the entire Elegance brand pin her for the victory. We then go to after the match, and we get Tommy Dreamer and Carlos Silva coming out. Tommy wants to address the weird flexing guy, Marky Mark and the Mark Bunch, and Pickle Dick. He also tells Mickey James not to go crazy because obviously she's been known to do that in the past. They say this business is crazy, but it is through the business that connects us to one another, and for that we are forever grateful. He likes to do things spontaneously, so ODB, he wants to see her perform in the ring again, but needs to get a little dressed up this time. Carlos Silva takes the mic and says that for everything that ODB has done for the company, we want to see you at Bound for Glory in October because you are going to be the next TNA Hall of Famer. We then go to Elena Black in the back. She is reading off some numbers about her career. That is the money that she has made just in the last 15 minutes. Cleveland makes her sick, and she'll take the flight, she'll take the free drinks, and she'll watch the TNA Knockouts title match later. She will be challenging the winner tonight, and she will reign into 2027, 28, and it doesn't matter how further in the future because we are in the era of Elena. We then have Nick Nemeth defeat AJ Francis via pinfall, following a distraction from a returning Casey Navarro. Nick Nemeth had Bernie Kosar of the Cleveland Browns, formerly, obviously. Bernie hits a chair shot on AJ Francis as well, and then Nick Nemeth finishes things off with a danger zone. We then have Ariana Grace retain her title against Lei Ying Lee via pinfall when Zaya Brookside turns on Lei Ying Lee and Ariana hits a knee to get the win. We then have Tom Hannafin and Matthew Raywalt discuss Zaya Brookside's betrayal just moments ago, but they are interrupted by Eric Young. He said he would call out EC3, who is supposed to be coming back tonight. So it looks like we have reached that point in the show. He is going to make this real quick. He is tired of being here. EC3, I said you could come out here and plead your case for why you think you belong in this world. I understand you were a Nepo baby and Aunt Dixie isn't here to protect you anymore. He already removed your silver spoon, and I know you were a smart man and you probably went home like a coward. He hates Cleveland, he hates Ohio, and he hates everything about this place. We then get trouble, fire up, and EC3 is back. He looks exactly like he never left TNA. He removes his sports coat and gets into the ring with Eric Young. EY goes to attack EC3, but EC3 clotheslines him to the floor. He has the mic now. He is the top 1%, a two-time TNA world champion, and he is back. He is here to challenge Eric Young to a match on Thursday on AMC because AMC becomes EC3 this Thursday. But pursuant to who he is, pursuant as to why he is here, his mind, his body, his soul, and the trouble, he has only one more thing to say. I'm from Cleveland, bitch. So he's going to see Eric Young on Thursday. We then have Mustafa Ali defeat Trey Miguel via pinfall, following the great hands hitting Trey with the helmets that they wore to the ring. And Ali follows it with the 450 splash and becomes the new TNA International Champion. We then have Lei Ying Lee in the back. She is brooding, obviously upset with what happened earlier. Gia Miller is here. She says sorry to bother Lee, but she is going to anyway, obviously. Lee is obviously emotional and sad and pissed and can only ask why of Zaya, and then she walks away. We then get the continuation of whatever the heck Rosemary has going on. We see that she and James Mitchell have found Abyss. Rosemary hugs him and tells him to not let Father James Mitchell manipulate him. They stare at each other as we see Mara Sade running and screaming or I believe it was actually, it wasn't Mara, it was Victoria Crawford. Tessa Blanchard is walking in her, and she doesn't look happy. She seems confused as well. James Mitchell says he owes Abyss an apology. He doesn't know about quantum mechanics or the Mandela effect, but one day he woke up and he was a father at age 8. Abyss says Mitchell doesn't owe him an apology. What you did for me in my career, you provided me with a family and shelter and when I needed it. We were dominant. He remembers his first world title as he laid in that barbed wire, and James Mitchell put the title on him. He remembers the many battles with Sting, Christian, and AJ Styles, and let's not forget Barbed Wire Massacre and our good friends. Mitchell then says he never told him this, but when he was a child, they asked him what he wanted to be. He said he wanted to be a mad scientist. And they asked why, and he said because he wanted to build monsters. But Abyss proved them wrong, and those were the best years of his career and of his life. Abyss says you were my manager, my guidance, my hope, my father. You gave me life, and we dominated TNA wrestling. And the history books will always show that, but the one thing the history books won't show is how much that I love you. Abyss has to go now, and James Mitchell wants to know if he can do the thing one last time. And then Abyss says, click, doomsday. And Abyss then vanishes into thin air. Rosemary then grins. And surprisingly, after how emotional and long this ended up kind of being, this will be continued even further. So we'll see where we go from here with Rosemary and her cavalcade of misfits. We then get the tag team title match. The System actually defeat the Hardys to win the tag team titles when Myers hits a super kick on Jeff, and then Bronson follows it with a bear driver for the win and the tag team titles. So Brian Myers and Bear Bronson are your new tag team champions. We then have Moose and Alicia Edwards in the back. Moose has ice on his body, and Alicia has some on her ankle. Alicia has some on her ankle and is taped up, obviously, after she took some bumps in the Agent Zero Moose match earlier. She says she has to be there for the main event, but Moose isn't happy about it. He doesn't know why she has to be involved. And we'll see a little bit during the main event about what happens after Moose kind of leaves this room in a huff. We then have the main event. Mike Santana defeats Eddie Edwards via pinfall after the System tries everything to help Eddie Edwards win, including Alicia Edwards turning back to the System. But Moose is able to help Santana enough, and Santana eventually hits the spin the block and retains the world title. So we had a little cut in this match where we see Moose leave the room, and Alicia is on the phone with either Eddie Edwards or somebody in the rest of the System. So we see her kind of admit that she's on their side, and it's been kind of a ruse the whole time. But Santana is able to walk away with the title. But Eddie Edwards and Alicia Edwards are obviously back as one, and she will join the System going forward. So kind of good to see, that Eddie Edwards won the guy to take the belt off of Santana. I do think Santana is eventually NXT bound. So we'll see how long he stays the champion when his contract runs out and all that good stuff. But I definitely see him not being champion for a super long time per se. So we'll see what happens there. But as far as best match for the show, that ending had a lot of chaos, but maybe a little too much chaos at certain points that kind of distracted from the match itself. But I thought the opener was really good, Slater and Alexander, but I would go with Mustafa Ali and Trey Miguel for match of the night. I think they're just on another level right now than everybody else. So I really have been enjoying what Ali's been doing lately, and I think he pulled out another awesome performance here. So we'll see. I would like to see Ali go for the world title, but obviously with him being international champion now, I see him kind of trying to do everything he can with that and make that title as prominent as he can. So maybe we'll see him go for the world title one day, but I also think he might be one of those guys that's not really super tied into TNA. I think he obviously works for them, but I don't think he's like, TNA for life or anything like that. I think if a better, bigger opportunity with a little bit more money comes up, he would jump at that opportunity. Maybe not with WWE, but maybe a AEW or maybe even go into New Japan for a little bit. But I think TNA just kind of doesn't want to make him the man because I don't know how committed he is to them. I mean, I don't think he's, a bad guy or anything like that, and he's going to turn on him or screw him or anything like that. But I just don't think he's like TNA through and through per se. But we'll see. Like I said, I would love to see him have a shot at the world title and have a shot at being world champion. But we'll see how that goes for him in the future. But again, thank you for always joining me. And again, next week's going to be a mega episode with Dynasty and WrestleMania. We'll start things out with Dynasty and end it with WrestleMania Night 2. So looking forward to that. Thank you as always for joining me, and we'll see you next week for WrestleMania.
Crowd is here, about to blow.